Hi guys, it's Becky, and I am going to be opening some mail today and unboxing a bead kit. But the first mail item that I opened, I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. We had this last week a customer appreciation week that Softflex put on, and they invited a lot of their other small business beading friends to come along, curate some kits, and then it was a whole week of classes and tutorials that you can see and find available on the Softflex YouTube channel. They're over there, and one of the classes that we did was run by Abby Berta at the Bead Place. It's this long and winding road bracelet, which is a really clever design. You've got these 1/4 and 1/2 tilas, and then you just kind of alternate which side you have these beads in between, and it makes it so that it rocks back and forth when you do this. And so I had started working on it, and I was almost done, and I realized that I didn't have enough of the 1/2 tilas to make it twice around my wrist, which is what it was supposed to do. And I just posted asking, hey, what would you guys do? Would you just go ahead and cut it short a little bit, have a single wrap, try to find somebody with a 4.5-inch wrist, try and substitute with some other beads? And I had some other 1/4 tilas. See, these are the 1/2 tilas that you use. And I thought, hey, maybe I can put those in here. And before I got very far on this, Abby reached out to me and she was like, hey, we're really sorry. It was supposed to have enough. Let us send you some. And I didn't think it was that big of a deal. It was just a few beads. Didn't feel like it was worth bothering her for, but she really felt like making up for it. And so I expected just a few like 1/2 tilas in an envelope or something. And instead I opened up the mail and I got 2 bottles of tilas. She didn't know which color had been in that kit. So this is the color that it was supposed to be, this brighter white color, and then I've got this more cream colored one. And so I've got enough to make probably another, maybe 2 of these if I can pull together all the other little bits. So thank you so much for that, Abby. But on top of that, she included one of these tubes filled with beads. And these are definitely Halloween colors. Look at all of these beads that are put in together. And there's even some stretch cord up at the top and a little dangle. And it was all right in there. She included that in her, I'm sorry, here's some more beads. Way more than I expected. Thank you, Abby. And they have a ton of little, what are they called? Kits that they've put together where they've got beads stuffed into little bottles with some cord in it over on their site if you wanted to grab some kits with some beads and some cord ready to go. You could gift them to friends or sit down and make something fun with them. They've got a ton of those on their site. I'll put a link to their site in my description so you can go check out the Bead Place. But thank you so much. We love to support our small business beauty friends. And I had a great time making this, and I am very pleased with the amazing customer service. I'm definitely going to join your group so that I can show you my completed project, and maybe I'll show you what I make with this too. But thank you so much, Abby. That means a lot to me. So the second thing that I wanted to open is I got my Curated Collection from Beads to Live By. This is another small beauty business that we love to support. And if you didn't know about this, it is a bead subscription where you can subscribe and they will send you, you can subscribe to either the seed bead subscription or the 2-hole bead subscription. I subscribe to both. So I'm going to be opening both of those. There's also usually a optional check glass bundle that you can add on. I will do that when my budget allows. It did not allow this month. So I'm just going to be opening up my 2 subscriptions that we've got. And it is super purpley. Look, my fingernails match. I love it when that happens. All right, so let's get these open and we'll take a look at those. And this is our 2-hole beads. All right, so let's set the, oh, I love this. That is a nice bright lilac-y color. All right, so let's get these open and take a look at what seed beads there are. And it's always going to be 8 different colors of seed beads. And I think 5 different strands of the 2-hole beads. And so far, we've had the same shapes from one subscription to the next. Cassandra mentioned that we may be seeing some other 2-hole shapes, maybe, in the future. So we'll see if that happens. All right, so let's get these guys sorted out. And they're curated to go together. So you can be pretty sure that most of these beads will match what you're creating with if you use the 2-hole beads and these other ones. I love them. They're a fantastic way to stash build. And I've mentioned before how hard it is for me sometimes when I'm bead shopping and I'm on a site for a place that has just a huge selection of beads. The decision to take, there's just so many and it's overwhelming for me. So I love being able to have a delivery. I don't have to go and make decisions about which beads to buy. They can come to me. And even if I don't use like this color in any of my makes this this month, I'm gonna stick it in my my organizers, and it's going to be there in my stash for me to be able to depend on and draw from and use later on down the road. And I have found that all of these beads are pretty high quality. I've had shipments of seed beads that has been sent, and I get broken beads in them. I haven't had, I think maybe one of these, there was like a broken bead and that was it. And that happens during shipment. It's fine. They're not like sending you like crappy beads for that. All right, so let's take a look at the colors. It's like we've got this blue luster finish. It's almost like a royal blue, but with kind of a purpley undertone. Actually, I would probably class that as like an ultramarine. If I was to put a name to that blue. Berry blue. And then we've got a matte. And you usually have a variety between like your rounded luster coated ones and your matte, I can't forget the name of it. They kind of have a more squared shape to the edges and are less rounded than these. So you have a variety of between the two of them in usually most of these. So we've got a really gorgeous plum color. Let me scooch in a little closer so you guys can see better. So we've got this plum color. And it's got a matte finish on that. And I'm not seeing any sort of AB on that. And then now we've got another plum, but it's a little bit brighter. It's like, it's got that luster finish. So that brings out some little lilac highlights. And we've got a beautiful pink. This is a really, really light, like ballet pink. And this is another matte finish. Let's open this up. And it looks like this has a little bit of an AB coat on it. So it's got that shimmer, but it's still matte. And these ones that I pulled up before, this is some kind of a rainbow iris. Gorgeous. I kind of love these a lot. And we've got this one here. It is, there's a lot of dimension to the color on this. We've got like some plum, and then you've got a little more taupe. This is a really great variety to add to this mix. I've got a really dark brown, like chocolatey color. This is Tootsie Rolls to me. That's what this is. And it's another matte finish. Dark brown. It's a great neutral to add to this mix. We've got another neutral here with a luster finish and some rounded edges. The really pretty taupe color. All right, so that is the Seed Bead collection with all 8 of these colors. Let me move them out of the way, and let's look at our 2-hole beads. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know that I love these pyramid beads. I've made several things with them, and I love this color. It is fantastic. It's purpley pink. It's not hot pink like the ones that I made my other color with, which was fun, and I loved it. But it goes really great with these 2-hole dagger beads and the finish on those. This is where we see like a lot of the purples, those brown taupes, some pinks, and the blues that we looked at, those berry blues, they all come through in this. And then we've got some 2-hole lentil beads. It looks like we've got some cranberry color on one side and some green on the other. They absolutely match my fingernails right now. I did not plan this. I did not know that I was going to be wearing fingernails that were the same color as these 2-hole lentils. Then we've got some Tila beads, and it looks like these are multiple colors and kind of a metallic finish. And these they're square shaped, and the holes run parallel with the sides. And then you've got silky beads, and these are the flat silky beads. There are other silky beads that have a bump on one side, but these are flat on both sides. And they're also square, but the holes run this way through it so that they sit like diamonds when you're working with them and through them. And I think I would like to make a bracelet with some silkies today. And I'm going to use some beads from this collection in order to do it. So let's choose some beads to go with it. Not those. Maybe these. Maybe. Kind of love these. And also these. I think they'd go. Yeah, I think these 2 beads, these are going to be my colors that I'm going to go for with this. Now, I've done a few other tutorials with making bracelets using these silky beads, because I just honestly believe that like the whole YouTube bead sphere does not give silky beads enough love. I'll link to those tutorials below, by the way, but like they are great in bracelets. I think that there's a fantastic way to do that. Like this is one of the tutorials that I did. It was silkies and the 2-hole lentils. And I did a simplified version and then a more embellished version on that. And then I've also done some where I used the silky beads and some seed beads and memory wire to make some bangles like that. And that works really well and is really effective, and you can do that with or without some crystals. And so I'll link to both of those in the description if you wanted to follow any of those. But I was playing around with last month's, and I made a bracelet using the Silky beads, some blah, 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 blah. some 11/0s and some 3mm fire polish beads. Now, I did not get any of the fire polish beads this month, so I'm just going to stick with the Silkies and the seed beads. But this is just to give you an example of what you could do instead. I also had another version that I was working on, and this one's going to be a gift to somebody else. And instead of the 3mm fire polish in my thing, I used an 8/0 seed bead. So you could just use an 8/0 instead of a 3mm if you wanted to do it this way. I'm going to do it with 11/0s. And I just wanted to show you too that you can, when you get partway through it, add a special bead and have it be part of your entire bracelet like that. So we're going to make some like this today. So let me get these beads out. All right, so I have got my Silkies ready. I have some color A and color B beads. And I've got a little lobster clasp for my closure. And I am going to be stringing it on some softflex Extreme Flex Fine. This is a 0.014 inch wire. A lot of my other things I use the 0.019, the medium, but the fine is fine enough and bendy enough that we can do some bead weaving with it without having to string a thread or needle or anything like that. So I'm going to be using that. I'm just going to take some enough to wrap around my wrist 4 times. All right. Plus a little bit of extra for reasons, and give that a snip. Actually, let me snip it. There. And now I'm going to find the center. And I'm going to be working with 2 ends the entire way through with this. So I'm going to find the center and I'm going to put my lobster clasp on. Let's make sure our lobster clasp works. Yep. I'm going to put my lobster clasp on here. And then I'm going to take 5 color A's on each strand of beading wire that I'm using. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got 5 there, and then 5 on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to run my fingers down here until we find the bottom of this strand, and this is where I want my lobster clasp to be. All right, to get this started, I'm going to get 1 of my color B 11/0s. I'm just gonna stick both ends of my wire through that. Come on. And that's one of the reasons I'm using this fine too, is because you can actually get multiple passes of this fine beading wire through your 11/0s, which is going to be important later. That's why it's good for bead weaving when you don't want to learn how to bead weave. All right, so that's got that pulled together. I'm going to take 3 color Bs on each strand. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Don't worry, we won't go through this whole thing on camera. I just want to show you how to get it started. So now I have 10 color A's on the same loop that my lobster clasp is on. I have both strands going through one 11-0, and then on each strand next to it I have 3 color B's. Now I'm going to pop my my first Silky bead on here, and I'm going to have each strand go through one hole each, like that. Scoot you down here. This is the fun part. I'm now going to pick up my, if I'm holding it like this, my right strand, and I'm going to pick up 5 color B's. And you can change the colors that you're using for each side. You could have 3 different colors. You could use a different color for this part. And now I'm going to go through, see how the thread path is going this way through this hole? I'm going to follow it along the same path with this strand. Just go through this hole one more time now that I have those 5 seed beads on there. And this makes a nice little, it's like it's got its hands on its hips. It's just a little decoration, a little bit of a embellishment, and it's happening at the same time that we're doing the bead weaving. So we don't have to go back down through the work later in order to add this embellishment after we go through and lay our base layer. We're doing this all at the same time that we are doing our bead weaving. So I'm going to pick up another 5 on this second strand, the one that did not already go through, the one that's coming out this other side that is plain. Pick 5 of these guys up. 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to follow the same thread path and go through in the same direction with my wire. Now I'm going to pick up 3 seed beads on each of these strands. One, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to put both of these together because we're going to go through the same seed bead, the same A seed bead with both strands at the same time, going through in the same direction. We're just bringing it together, and that bead is just going to hold them in place like that. And I'm going to repeat this from here all the way across until it's the same length that I want, where you've got the 3 seed beads on each strand. You're going to add your Silky. You're going to loop back around on each side with 5 seed beads. Add 3 seed beads here, and then put it through a single A seed bead. So I'm going to repeat it one more time before I switch off and finish this off camera. I'm going to pick up my 3 seed beads on each strand. 1, 2, 3, and you don't need a needle. You don't need to do any fancy knotting or anything like that. You can just use your beading wire for this. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to use another strand for another 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to add my Silky. Like we don't get enough love for Silkies. There aren't a ton of tutorials out there for making things with them. So I am just trying to, I saw a need and I'm filling it. There we go. Going through both sides. Now we're going to loop back around with our 5 seed beads. That's the next step. So on this, you do them each side at a time. So let's grab our 5 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is a bracelet that you can make just with seed beads and Silky, so you don't need the extra check glass bundle, although the check glass bundles are very nice. My last unboxing I did, I got some check glass beads, so I'll put a link so you can see what, I mean, it's going to be different every time, but sort of what some of the typical offering could be with those. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoop. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I lost one, so let's pick it up again. And we're going in the same direction that the beading wire is already going through. We're just looping back around and through. And now 3 more seed beads on each wire. And then we'll go through the same seed bead after we get those 3 seed beads on each wire. So there's 3. And here's 3. 2, 3. And let's get these wires, let's stick them right next to each other so I can go through the same 11-0 seed bead at the same time. Now this 11-0, by the way, this one, if you're going to use like a 3mm fire polish like I did this is where you'd be adding it, is this part right here. If you're going to use an 8-0, this is where you'd add that. But I'm just using 11-0s. You don't have to, if you don't have those beads, you can still make this. You can just substitute with a little something else. And I love that it's just a little pop right there between each of these little like starburst kind of shapes that we've got, these diamonds that are going through here. So I'm probably going to be making about 8 more of these. And then we'll see if it's long enough at that point, and I'll show you how to finish it off after I have all of my seed beads on here. All right, so here we are. I have 10 little units of my thing. It is going to fit all of the way around my wrist. Once I've got myself, I could probably do another one, maybe, or just make sure I have a nice long loop, or I could add an extender chain. But I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I got a little bit carried away. I almost kept going, but this is how it works. And so for ending it, I am going to use, these are my favorite crimp tubes. They are 2x2 softflex crimp tubes. And for this 0.14 wire, they are a little bit much. So I'm going to be adding some extra wire into this when I go to crimp it. But I'm just going to put both ends of the wire through my crimp tubes like that. And when I go to crimp it, I'm going to make sure that this seed bead is not in the way, that it's not right next to it. We're going to make sure that we have a little bit of room there so that we don't crush our seed beads, because we don't want to do that. And I'm just going to grab some more of these color A's, and I'm going to make myself a loop with it. And I think I need a little bit longer loop, so I'm going to grab about 15 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The subtitle for this channel is Counting with Becky, in case you were curious. So I've got that all on one of my strands. I'm going to take the end of the other strand, the one that those aren't on, and I'm going to go down through the top of this whole column of 15 seed beads. I'm going to make sure I go through all of those. This is basically just reinforcing this loop, but also giving me a nice finish off point. You know what? We can scooch these along if we need to to help it get there better and easier. All right. And where's my end of it? Is it going through here? Oh, it did. It went all the way through. You can see it going all the way through both the crimp tube and this seed bead here. I'm just going to scooch those down a little bit so that we can pull that a little more taut. Before I scooch it all the way in, I'm just going to take this other end and I'm going to put it through this crimp. There's plenty of room in this crimp, you can see, for more strands. I don't know if there's going to be room in the seed bead for all four passes of that, so that's fine. We're going to come out of that above the seed bead. So I think the seed bead can only handle 3 right now, and that's fine. Pull that tight. Now I've got myself a little loop that I can hook my guy onto. Before I crimp it, I'm just going to make sure that this is going to be long enough. Like I said, I could add oh yeah, that's definitely long enough. That's going to work for me. All right, now just scooching a little bit so that we have room on either side of this crimp bead between these seed beads and the crimp bead, because we don't want to crush the seed beads. And then I'm going to grab, I've got a little, I usually keep some extra softflex medium wire. This is the bone color that I was using the other day for something else. It's going to blend in really nicely with this if it does poke out of here, but it probably won't be visible. And Nile calls this a little extra meat for the ravioli, because when you squish the with the magical crimper, it makes a ravioli first. I'm just going to shove that right in there with all of those other strands. And that's going to give the crimp more to hang on to than what I've got just with the fine wire. Come on, all the way in. All the way in. All right, so while I've got that, let me grab my magical crimper. Where's my magical crimper? It was literally right here. All right. So if you have smaller crimps, you might not need the extra piece of wire. Let's make sure that we have clearance on both sides from those seed beads. Give it a squish. Make our little ravioli. Twist it. Squish it. Twist it and squish it. And we're just going to turn it into a meatball. That's what we do. So this is how you can do bead weaving without a bead needle. You don't need it. You can just use fine beading wire. And I'm cutting off the extra wire. From everywhere. Yep, that's gonna hold. And now I have a completed bracelet using the Silky beads and the seed beads from the September Beads to Live By Curated Collection. And there's enough Silky beads here to make a second bracelet, and definitely enough seed beads to make a whole lot more projects. Let me just get these guys out here for a final shot of all of these guys. Thanks for hanging out with me while we make stuff. We had all of these fantastic beads in our bag this month. I love this, like, this is the most delicate pink. That is really gorgeous. I'm definitely going to make something with that later. This blue ruins my white balance with my camera every single time, blue stuff. I think I'm going to have to avoid blue fingernails from now on, but yeah, we've got more in the subscription. It's not just the seed beads. We have these 2-hole beads too. I love these together. They are amazing together. And they were all curated to go together to make them pretty. And I did bring these out just to show you your variations. When you're making this, all you do is just substitute out this central bead that brings everything together. I substituted it with a 8-0 seed bead and with a special bead. That's right where I put it, was right there between each of these little sections. And with this one, I substituted this 1-11-0 seed bead with the fire polish beads, and that looks great. And this one, I used a jump ring on the end. I did a little loop, but my loop is smaller, and I've got a jump ring there so that I can attach an extender chain, because I don't know the wrist size for the person that I'm gifting this to. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed bead weaving and unboxing with me, and go and check out the Curated Collections from Beads to Live By. They've got past collections available. They've got signups for new collections, and see what they've got there. And check out the Bead Place and look at the cool, fun kits that they've put together that come in little bottles and little tubes like this with some stretch cord. We'll do some making with this probably in a couple of weeks when it's closer to October, because then I'll be in a real Halloween mood. So we'll do some making with this, and we'll see what we can put together. But I hope you have a great day, and thanks for hanging. Bye!